Welcome back. Our next guest is the author of Sleeping Where I Fall. Now, this book highlights and relives a 15-year journey of a pursuit of freedom in the 1960s counterculture. Here to talk about the lessons learned, please welcome Peter Coyote. Now, hello. Most people know you as an actor, but I have to say now when I refer to you, it'll be as an author. This book is extremely powerful, and it's an actual re-release, isn't it?
Yeah, it came out in 1998, and I'm proud to say it was on 3 bestseller lists, and it's been in print continuously, and this is the 10th year anniversary. So I wrote a 25-page afterward and put some new pictures in it, and it's still, I think, hard but fair appraisal of what the 1960s was like, and I think it's about the best book on the 60s that I've read.
It's not just a history book because it really you can take it and apply it to what's happening now, socially and politically and in people's lives. Could you give us a brief idea of the story that's being told here and how you try to pull out some more thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's basically the arc of how, like, a middle-class Jewish kid from New York winds up shooting heroin in the back of a truck. And the having followed a completely progressive, liberal, save the world kind of agenda for 15 years. But that's not to say that agenda was wrong. I made personal mistakes. A lot of my friends made personal mistakes. But if you read the book and if you look at today, the hippies were right. And there's no place in the United States where you can't find environmental issues, women's issues, alternative medical issues, alternative spiritual practices, organic food issues. They've all been changed in the culture. We didn't stop imperialism or capitalism, but we've changed the culture, and it's continuing to change, and the low impact, low money lifestyle was actually correct.
And it's interesting because it's cycling or circling back. It's cyclical in some ways. Do you see our generation, our current generation, trying to relive some of those values right now?
Well, you know, one of the good things about seeing the counterculture disappear is that we're all in the same culture together. So that means that every place you and I work, shop, eat, sleep, play, gives us a place to press against the culture and press for change. You can't tell just by looking at somebody. There were lots of people that maybe agreed with me and my friends in the 60s, but they didn't want their kids around dope smokers or long-haired crazy people. So we lost those people. But by being all in the same culture, we're all on the same planet. We're in the same stew. So to me, it's actually positive. And I see lots of young people who are doing quiet, able, unrewarded work, you know, that's not particularly recognized by the media. I mean, on the front page of the New York Times today was a story about GM releasing a muscle car. You know, well, it's great that you're saving GM and you're saving those jobs, but what about saving it with a car that gets 60 miles to the gallon instead of 20, and that doesn't tear up the environment that your kids are going to grow up in?
And of course, that was announced on the day they say, oh, we're out of bankruptcy, so it's all this kind of positive, good feeling. And you know what, I think you just put it all together for me, which is that it's a movement that's political, spiritual, as well as social. And when someone reads this book, what is it that you hope the second reading, the second time out, will give birth to, or kind of?
Well, you know, I think you got the triumvirate, but the core practice is a kind of spiritual intuition that whether you're a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, a Buddhist as I am, that we're all in this together. There's no other planet to live. There's no other place to play. And the way that we feel about it is going to guide our politics and is going to guide our work. So I hope that people will read this and say, no, you know, it's not about ideology and it's not about coming up on the right side of the issue. It's about getting your deepest intention of compassion and generosity and forgiveness at work so that that informs your politics, your economy, and your daily life in the United States.
It's such a much needed tool, and I could have spent another hour talking to you about your background in film and on theater. Thank you so much for being here, but I really wanted to focus on this because I think it's a message that hasn't been heard about you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. And you can get